There is a secret strategy that I use to land jobs across Australia during my working holiday visa. I call it the 3 pyramids. And if you use it too, you will know exactly how to get work and how to get your 88 days done without wasting time. I'm Arnie and I've been traveling Australia for more than 4 years, and I've worked in agriculture, hospitality, construction and mining. And in this video, I'll break down the 3 pyramids, show you how to use them to get better jobs, and walk you through 9 real examples so you cannot fail. This is just one of the many videos that I made for our community of backpackers in Australia, where we teach all the tips and tricks about the working holiday visa. So if you want help finding jobs and get your 88 days out of the way easily and quickly, feel free to join, link in the description below. Now let's play the video. Hey friends, welcome back. Today we are diving into the most important video for job searching, and that is the concept of the 3 pyramids. So let's get into it. So what are these 3 pyramids? Think of them as a hierarchy that exists within the job market. They help us understand how likely you are to find a job, and also which steps to take to put yourself in a better position for job hunting. At the bottom of the pyramids, there is a lot of people. This means that there is really high competition, as everyone can access these jobs, and also lower salaries. On the other hand, at the very top of the pyramid, you might find yourself with low or no competition and also usually higher wages. So let's dive into each one of these pyramids to understand how they work and how they can help you find a job in Australia. So the first one is the skill pyramid. The skill pyramid ranks individuals based on their skill levels in a specific industry or job. So every industry has its own skill pyramid, and we will discuss each one of them in detail in future videos. So as we were saying before, at the bottom of the pyramid, there's going to be a lot of people. Here, we're going to find the unskilled workers. These are people without any qualifications nor experience in the industry in Australia. They are often called greenies here from the color green. When a fruit is green, when it's not ripe, it means it's not ready. And same thing here for the unskilled workers. At the top, we find the people with the most expertise and skills. And if you find yourself at the bottom of this pyramid, there is 2 things you can do to move up the skill pyramid. The first way is by getting experience. This usually means spending a lot of time doing the same job until you become proficient and you jump into the next level job. For example, in hospitality, a waiter with no experience is at the bottom, while a barista or bartender with years of experience is higher up. It's the same as this example here if you start in a kitchen as a dishwasher, and then after a while, you learn how to become a kitchen hand. You have climbed up the pyramid by getting experience in a specific job and industry. Then the next step would be that you learn how to be a cook, and then again, you climb higher up the pyramid. By climbing higher, you have more job opportunities and often higher pay as well. Then the second way to go up the pyramid is by upskilling, which means obtaining certifications or tickets. This usually unlocks job opportunities in Australia, as you might not even be legally allowed to do a job without a certain ticket. The easiest example here is the RSA, which stands for Responsible Service of Alcohol. This certificate is a must if you want to work in hospitality in Australia, as you cannot legally serve alcohol to a person if you haven't done this training. So if you don't hold an RSA, it is useless that you try to find a job as a waiter or a bartender, for example, as no one is going to be willing to employ you. And this same concept applies to many other jobs in the country, in tourism, in construction, in mining, etc. So it is extremely important to know which tickets unlock what jobs. And that is why we will do a specific video about every industry, revealing and explaining all this, because every industry has its own skill pyramid. So we're going to have one skill pyramid for hospo, one for construction, one for mining, and we're going to have a look at each of them and what we can do to go up the pyramid in that specific industry. And back here, as we've seen, these are the 2 ways to go up the skill pyramid. One way is by getting experience and the other is by upskilling. The first option requires a lot of time, and generally it's not very costly, as you're just paying with your time. So a lot of time but very little money. On the other hand, upskilling usually requires much more money up front and it takes much less time. It is like taking a shortcut. So you just pay the course, $500, $1,000 or 2, whatever it is. You complete the training and voila, you just climbed up the pyramid a few levels. So now it is much easier for you to find jobs, and you often get paid much better too. So to sum up, experience requires a lot of time, very little money, and upskilling requires a lot of money, but it takes much less time. So let's now move to the next pyramid, the location pyramid. The location pyramid represents how job opportunities change based on your location in Australia. At the bottom, we find the major cities, while at the top, we find the super regional area. And this is because in Australia, in general, the more regional you go, the easier it is to find jobs because there is less competition. For example, if you want to work as a waiter in a big city like Sydney, you might face high competition, student visas, other temporary workers, and most Australians all tend to accumulate in the main and big cities. This because in regional areas, you usually sacrifice some of the comforts that the big cities might offer, more shopping centers, more entertainment, etc. So there is much less people that is willing to relocate and work in regional areas, like a small town in the middle of the desert, for example. In these kind of places, they usually struggle to find certain type of workers. So that is an opportunity for us, for backpackers, if you know what you have to look for and where, as you will find it much easier to find a job due to lower competition. Just get out of the big cities. So this pyramid is pretty straightforward. The more regional you go, the easier you have it to find jobs. And let's now move to our last but not least pyramid, the industry pyramid. The industry pyramid helps you determine which industries are saturated in terms of workers and which ones are in high demand. The top of the pyramid represents a big demand of workers in a certain industry, and the bottom represents that the industry is saturated. So there is a lot of people looking for the same job. To see what's happening with the pyramid, you have to look at the two previous pyramids, the skill pyramid and the location pyramid. A certain job might be more or less saturated in specific areas. So for example, working as a waiter in big cities is currently a bit saturated. So therefore, bottom of the pyramid due to high competition, as there is a lot of people, and also inflation has reduced the average going out spending of Australians. So that means hospitality venues are less busy than previous year. So the outcome is very saturated. Lots of people applying for the same hospitality jobs in the big cities. On the other hand, in regional areas, the demand might be a bit higher due to the lack of finding workers. So the saturation in this case would be less. So we would be a bit higher in the industry pyramid. So that would mean that finding a job is easier in regional areas. So the key to maximizing your job opportunities is understanding how these three pyramids relate to each other. And the combination of the scores we get at each of the three of them will give us the fourth pyramid, which is the employment pyramid. Because the higher you are in the employment pyramid, the more chances you will have to find a job. But not only a random job, a specific job in a specific area and with its specific market saturation. And this will give you your specific chances of getting that job. And to understand all this, we're going to see 8 examples that will explain all the possible combination of the pyramids so you get the full spectrum. So for our first example, we're gonna have a person that wants to work as a waiter in Sydney, and the industry is obviously hospitality. So here as a waiter, you are at the bottom of the skill pyramid because a lot of people can apply for these same jobs. Then you are also at the bottom of the location pyramid because you are in a big city, so there is a lot of people. And the hospitality industry in big cities is currently a bit saturated. So if you combine the three pyramids, your outcome is that your job opportunities are a bit low because a lot of people can apply and you are looking for in a saturated environment. If we put the same example, but you put it in the outback, for example, in a resort in the middle of the desert, something like that, you are really regional, so you are really high up in the location pyramid, and the saturation in that area it's much lower, so you are a bit higher in the industry pyramid. And the outcome is that you have better chances if you're regional than if you're in the big city, as we were saying before. Let's now put another example, which you are still in a big city, but instead of being at the bottom of the pyramid of the skill level, you are a bartender with a lot of experience. So in the skill pyramid, you're really high at the top. This person will be at the top of the skill pyramid. In the location, it will still be at the bottom because it's a big city and there's a lot of competition. But the saturation in the industry, in that specific job, it's not as before because you have a lot of experience and there is always going to be a high demand. And the saturation about that specific job, it's still going to be a bit higher because there's always going to be demand for good bartenders. So that's why here in the industry pyramid you are a bit higher, and the outcome is that you will have opportunities to find jobs as a bartender even in big cities. And now imagine in example 4 that this person goes to a regional area in the outback, in the desert, in a resort, so really high in the location pyramid. So the saturation of that specific job, it's even less. Regional places struggle to find skilled bartenders. And let's imagine now that this bartender now goes to the desert to try to find a job. So he will be much higher up in the location pyramid, also high up in the skill pyramid, and in the industry pyramid, he will be also a bit higher up because in these regional places, they struggle to find this type of skilled worker. So job opportunities, you're gonna have really high chances. And let's now look at an extreme example that will show you that being at the top of some pyramids will not guarantee you to find jobs. So here, a dive instructor is trying to find jobs in the desert. So he will be really at the top of the skill pyramid in terms of tourism. He will be at the top of the location pyramid because he's going to a super regional area. But here, he's trying to find a job as a dive instructor in the desert. So in terms of saturation, there is no demand for dive instructors in the deserts. In the industry pyramid, he's going to be at the very bottom, or not even bottom. He will be out of the pyramid. There is no job opportunities for that. So even if you are at the top of 2 pyramids, you just need sometimes 1 pyramid that you are at the bottom for completely destroying your chances of getting jobs. So there is no way that you will find a job as a dive instructor, and the pyramids show it. Let's now look at some construction examples, for example. So let's now say that you want to work as a laborer in construction in a big city. So laborer, you have just the minimum skills to work in construction. So the white card, so you are at the bottom of the pyramid. You are in Sydney, big city, bottom of the location pyramid, but you have to look at the demand of workers in that industry, in those areas. And construction nowadays, there is a lot of demand. So even though you are at the bottom in 2 pyramids, in construction, you're still going to be a bit higher up because there's still demand of people. So the outcome pyramid is that you will still have chances of finding jobs. So that's why you have to look at the 3 of them and try to see the final result to see what happens. And now let's try to imagine that this laborer upskills, gets some tickets, so then he becomes a skilled laborer. He gets a bit more training, so he goes up the skill pyramid. That's one of the ways to go up the skill pyramid, by upskilling. He stays in Sydney, so in a big city, bottom of the location pyramid, and the demand of skilled workers is even a bit higher than laborers because it's more useful. You're more useful, so there's more job opportunities for you. So your chances of getting jobs are even higher. And now imagine that this person, this skilled labor, goes in a regional area that there is also demand for those. So you go up in the location pyramid, so your job opportunities are even higher. You will have, if you look at the right place for the right kind of job, you will find for sure some job opportunities. So understanding the 3 pyramids is crucial for navigating the job market in Australia. Increase your skills and experience, consider regional locations, and choose industries with higher demand to improve your chances of finding jobs. Remember, the goal is to be as high as possible in each pyramid to increase your job opportunities. Now you understand the 3 pyramids and how they shape your chances to get jobs during your working holiday visa. But strategy alone is not enough, because if you want real results, you need the right certifications to unlock the best jobs and the highest pay. So watch this video next, where I show you the most important tickets to get in Australia if you want to get work faster and get your 88 days done out of the way as soon as possible.